Hey y'all, so it's Respect the Queen Speaks, and as y'all know, and as I always say, I don't speak unless my spirit tells me to, commands me to, demands that I do. Something resonates in my spirit, and I was having a conversation yesterday with a friend from back home who happens to be out here, and he used to be one of those type of guys that dated anything and everybody. You know, he was looking for the vajayjay all the time. And he finally met a sister that, made him start to think different, along with the fact that he had already been on his own journey, changing his ideas and thoughts. Um, Anyhow, so I asked him, um, is a man intimidated by a woman who seeks more from him than just money and sex? And I asked him, A, because a lot of times we as women conversate amongst our homegirls, and there's at least one homegirl you got that's bitter. And I don't care what's going on, she got that dudes ain't shit mentality. Never once looking at herself and asking herself, why am I the common denominator in all my failed relationships? Because at some point you have to ask yourself, what is it about me? And why am I attracting these sorts of men in my life? But anyhow, when I want to know something about a man, I ask a man. And I've got three, four good men in my life that I can go to and get honest answers from. So, he says to me, as a matter of fact, let me pull up the message because we were actually texting back and forth. Um, because I like to read things and repeat people verbatim versus putting words in their mouth that they didn't say. So, hold on, here we go. In my opinion, a woman who's not impressed by money and sex has transcended traditional womanhood. Money represents protection, and sex represents providing. Being a protector and a provider are key validations of manhood. Many men operating in low frequencies seek validation from women in those comforts. Men on higher levels will find out what the woman they are courting needs for her own validation. She might need a man to tell her she's pretty, he loves her, or demonstrates that he'll never leave her. She may need a man to ultimately build her up. In the end, she may not be impressed by money and penis power, but she has something at her core that does impress her. It's a man's job to find it. That's if she's worth the effort. And it was like ding dong, ding dong. So of course I asked him, what did he mean as far as, a woman transcending beyond womanhood, because I wanted to make sure that I understand him properly, because I know transcending means surpassing. And he goes on to talk about our animalistic, um, not animalistic, I'm sorry, our basic creature habits that, we desire sex and money at a basic level. But once we go over and beyond that, sex and money doesn't do for us what it may have done for us in our late teenage years or our early 20s or maybe even our 30s. I know for me, when I hit 30, my sexual desires changed. It was more about pleasing me versus pleasing him, because I had been in a state of mind for a really long time of it was always about pleasing him, and then I'm just there. And that comes from, insecurities, lack of parenting, lack of love, and all of that jazz. Um, and I hit 30 and I was like, listen, it's about me. And in the last, I would say, year and a half, I really didn't understand what I was going through, because I could make love with my partner and the love would be great, but I still felt unsatisfied. Um, he could pay bills, take me out to eat, shopping trips, vacation, and I still felt dissatisfied with him. And I couldn't really put my finger on why, because I had never had a man please me sexually in the way that he did, and I had never had a man to take care of me financially the way that he did. Um, and so I was kind of confused, like, what is wrong with me? Why am I not happy in this relationship? And I ended up meeting a guy that I was doing some community work with, and on a very platonic level. And we began to conversate, and it was like, that's it. He mentally stimulated me in a manner that, hell, I could climax. And if y'all know Respect the Queen keeps it real at all times. I'm very transparent. I don't hide who I am from social media or the public eye, because nobody can hold you hostage to what you already accept about you. And I accept the good and the bad and the ugly about me. Um, but I found myself so emotionally and mentally attracted to this man, and I'm like, this is what I'm missing. And so, of course, as a woman who comes from where I come from, um, and that I'm a Libra, I'm a fixer by nature. I'm trying to figure out how to communicate this to my partner at the time, that these are the things that I need, because I believe that we all speak different love languages. And for me, words of affirmation, quality time, um, physical touch, and absolutely communication are the love languages that I speak. Like buying me gifts and acts of service, things of that nature. They're fine, don't get me wrong, at their basic level, they're fine. But to my core of who I am, that it doesn't work for me. It doesn't work for me at all. It's like you can go and buy me a gift and we got drama, and that gift don't change nothing for me. Like, I'll take it or leave it. I'll pack the shit up, you can have it, because that's not resolving any problems, because you cannot buy love. You cannot buy your way out of situations and think that they're better, because what you're really doing is avoiding the issues at hand. And the gift is instant gratification. It fulfills the void for the moment, but you haven't got to the root. So of course you're going to continue to have these problems. And after having that conversation with him, it was like, oh my God, I get it. Because if men believe that money and sex are their ways of validating who they are in a relationship, and the woman that they're with is not impressed by those things, or requires more than just those things, they're going to continue to bump heads, because they're not speaking the same love language. They're not even closely, remotely speaking the same love language. And of course you can work at it, but what was profound for me with him was, the man will continue to provide for you sexually and financially, but he will never attempt to do anything other than that, because that's all he knows how to do. And by you expressing that those things don't validate who you are, you challenge him to dig deeper. You challenge him to figure out, who in the hell am I without money and sex? Because see, mainstream society, music, and all the programming that we have been conditioned to believe allows our men to think, and some of our women too, that if he's just taking care of me financially, if he's just giving me the goods, then I'm fine. And then you have all these women suffering in silence. I seen Tyrese on a video at the Breakfast Club yesterday, and his album Black Rose is all about him trying to get back his girl. And he said it, our women are suffering in silence because they need so much more from us, and we're out having sex with other chicks, partying. We're thinking because we're paying the bills and giving her the good D that she's good. No, there are a lot of women, and I've met some younger girls who have transcended beyond womanhood. You have to be able to fulfill more than those basic level needs. Um, and so I asked myself, how do we go beyond that? Because the women, I believe that women need to be led by their men in their relationships. But if a man can only lead you so far because he hasn't even discovered who he truly is and what he has to offer, and he doesn't see himself worth anything other than sex and money, how do we even develop a healthy relationship behind that? Um, for me, it's almost impossible because as a woman, in my prior relationship, I was sacrificing who I was to my core because he wasn't a bad guy in the sense of what we think is a bad guy. He just wasn't able to give me the things that I needed, and he didn't know how. And me addressing those issues really led to confrontation because he began to be defensive. Just like women become defensive when you challenge them to give more. What do you have, sis, besides the power of the yoni? What else do you have to give? And because society has conditioned women just as well as men to say, this is all that I'm worth, we don't even know. We don't even know what we truly have to give other than sexual gratification and money. Um, And I'm hoping, sis, and I'm hoping, brother, that you're hearing my heart. There is so much more to you than that. You have so much more to give to the world. You have so much more to give to a man. And eventually, our men tap into that. And that's why you'll see that good-looking brother, and he with a sister that everybody don't think is, not so hot. Because them other sisters, all they had to give him was money and sex. And he requires more than that. So when he taps into it and realizes that he requires more than that and he wants more than that, he will go get a sister who can give it to him. And vice versa. Um, it's a lot of maturity, a lot of growing up, a lot of unplugging from a system that is absolutely designing our relationships to fail, because we're looking at 30-minute sitcoms and thinking that's how relationships go, and we're looking at 3-minute videos and thinking this is what I must do in order to obtain love. No, 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 no. This is all bullshit and illusions, smoke screens. You have to figure out who you are at your core. He has to figure out who he is at his core. And if y'all are able to communicate with each other's love languages, then yes, absolutely, you can find means and ways to make it work. But if you can't, then you have to come to some sort of resolve. What are we going to do? Because you can only meet these particular needs, and I can only meet, maybe one or two of your needs. And so we're both unsatisfied people. Are we able to continue in this relationship like this, knowing that we're both unfulfilled? I say no. I say it leads to very unhealthy relationships. Some people are able to do it. For me, no. No. I think that you should live life to the fullest, and that means when you're not being satisfied and you've done everything that you can possibly do within your power to create a healthy environment, whether that be work, relationships, family, or whatever, because this is not just the man-woman dynamic in every area. Once you have exhausted all means, it's time to move on, and you will grieve. You will grieve that loss, whether it be man, job, or whatever, because you have become accustomed to being in that environment, in that situation, or with that partner. You will grieve, but you will get beyond the grief. It may not seem like it, because I know when you get in the middle of that grief, that's when it really hurts the most. And sometimes we just decide, I don't want this pain, so I'll go back versus forward, because there's something comfortable about that familiar pain versus taking the risk of something new and unknown. And I know it's hard. Trust me. I went back to him a couple of go-rounds. But when I tapped into, he does not speak your love language, and he's not able to give you anything other than money and sex. When I really tapped into that, it was time to go. And it's still, some days it still hurts us. Some days it still hurts. But I know that I require and I deserve more than that. And when you get into that space and you walk in confidence because you know that you know that you know that you know that you're the shit. And I ain't saying the shit because my body's bad or my clothes are nice or I got a nice job. I'm talking about within, baby. Within. I got it and can't nobody take it from me. When you get there, it ain't nothing to say this ain't working for me and I'm gonna have to remove myself and don't feel bad about it. Let your yes be yes and your no be no. Oh, I don't know, I've rambled a lot, but I really want women to understand that a lot of our men are operating on a low frequency, a low vibration from that root chakra. And when they are, and you've surpassed that, the dynamic of your relationship is going to continuously be chaotic. You will have periods where it feels like it's okay, but you will always come back to the chaos because you're operating on two different frequencies. And you have to ask yourself, why am I attracting this person? At one point in time, y'all probably were both on the same frequency, but you grew beyond that. And so you're trying to get him to be where you are, but he can't get there if A, he doesn't even know who the hell he is, and B, he's not trying. So anyhow, um, I love you, sis. I believe in you, and I know that it's hard to come from where you come from and really believe in yourself and love it yourself the way that you need to. But it takes time, and there's, it's a process, and it will happen. And even if you struggle, get your ass back up and do what you got to do the next day. And you keep doing that, and you keep doing that, and you keep doing that, and eventually you'll turn around and be like, wow, look how far I've came. Look at everything that I've done. Look how much I've grown. Look at all those relationships that I left behind that I didn't think I could live without. You can live, trust. You can live without him. You can live without that toxic home girl. You can live without that toxic family member. You can live without that toxic job. You can. If I can, coming from where I come from, anybody can. Trust. So, like I said, I love y'all. I'll be back soon, and I'm hoping that y'all hear the purest part of my heart. I am not a motivational speaker. All I speak is my experience, my strength, and my hope. And if one of y'all hears my heart and it changes, clicks your mindset, then I've done what I came to do.